This is KM Wyland, and you are listening to the 285th episode of the Helping Writers Become Authors podcast. While working on a book, some writers prefer to read novels similar to what they're working on. Some prefer to read books that are very different from what they're working on. Some choose not to read at all while writing. I'm too addicted to my reading to even think of stopping while writing. Never mind the fact that I feel reading is the single best thing a writer can do to improve the craft. I've never done much managing of reading at all in relation to my writing, but right now, as I'm working on my Regency-era superhero novel, I'm also reading Charles Dickens's Little Dorrit. I'm actually reading it because of what I'm writing, since I have some scenes set in the Marshalsea prison, which features prominently in Little Dorrit. But I have to say I'm also benefiting hugely just from the general similarity of time and setting found between Dickens's book and my own. Dickens is a master author and one of my favorites, so it has been a daily inspiration to try to glean from his writing and apply the lessons in my own work in progress. It's inspiring, but humbling too. The latest post in the video series on my blog is Find Out Why Your Awesome Protagonist is Boring Readers to Death. It talks about the 2 reasons you may not be giving a great character enough to do, and how to fix the problem to avoid boring readers. To find the post, visit my site at helpingwritersbecomeauthors.com. And now I hope you enjoyed this week's podcast entitled Want to Know More About the Structure of Your Favorite Books and Movies? Announcing the Story Structure Database. So, are you ready for the unveiling of the big secret? For months, I've been hinting at a secret project that's been in the works just for you word players. You have all been very industrious with your guesses. Everything from my opening up a moose farm, to a role for moi in the next Avengers movie, to a free year's supply of chocolate for all word players. Today, I'm super excited to get to put an end to the guessing and unveil what I hope will be a fabulous resource for all of us. So, what is it? The official Story Structure Database. So, what is the Story Structure Database? That's easy. The Story Structure Database is an archive of books and movies recording all their major plot points. The inciting event at the 12% mark, the first plot point at the 25% mark, the first pinch point at the 37% mark, the midpoint at the 50% mark, the second pinch point at the 62% mark, the third plot point at the 75% mark, the climax at the 88% mark, the climactic moment, which is the end of the conflict, and the resolution, which is the end of the book. Nothing can teach us good storytelling like examples from the stories, both successful and otherwise, we have experienced ourselves. I have always encouraged authors to pay attention to structure when reading books and watching movies. All you have to do is divide the total page count or running time into 8s and watch to see what happens near that moment. But sometimes it's handy to have someone else's opinion to back yours up or to clarify things. That's where the Story Structure Database comes in. In time, I hope the database will be able to offer thousands of titles. If you're ever unsure of a structural point in a story, or just want to spend some time browsing examples of story structure, you'll be able to search the database to find exactly the example you're looking for. So why do we need a story structure database? The inspiration for this comes thanks to a reader who emailed me last year wondering if I could help him nail down the plot points in True Lies and Alien. I hadn't seen either movie, so wasn't able to be of much help. But it dawned on me that I was already making a mental note of the story structure of every book I read and every movie I watched. Why not share that information with all of you? Ever since I published Structuring Your Novel 2 years ago, I've received many requests for more examples of story structure in popular novels and films. I've shared as many pertinent examples as possible in my blog posts, but all of this got me to thinking. How awesome would it be to have an easily accessible database where authors could look up the story in question and find input on its important structural moments? This is actually something I've searched for myself without ever being able to come up with a satisfactory resource. So, how to use the Story Structure Database. All you have to do is access the database by visiting the link in the top menu on my site at helpingwritersbecomeauthors.com, or by swiping out the left sidebar if you're viewing on a mobile or otherwise small screen. The database's homepage will offer you all the most recent editions of the book and movie titles. To subscribe to the database to receive updates whenever a new title is added, you'll have to enter your email address into the box at the top of the left-hand column. And you'll want to note that this subscription is separate from my e-letter mailing list or the email updates for the blog posts, which you can sign up for in the left column of the main part of the site. The database mailing list will subscribe you only to the database updates. You can use the search bar halfway down the right column to browse for specific titles, and you can use the drop-down menu, also halfway down the right-hand column, to browse titles by genre. When you click on a title, you'll discover all its prominent structural points. In most instances, these points will be listed without commentary from me, since doing so for every title would require more time than I have in the day. But armed with a solid understanding of structure, and in most instances a familiarity with the title, you'll be able to understand the significance of each event on your own. If you have questions, you're always free to ask me. Needless to say, there will be spoilers, so if you haven't read the book or watched the movie, click on its title at your own risk. And now, how you can add your voice to the story structure database. I read between 50 to 60 books a year and watch perhaps twice that many movies. But in order to make the database as extensive and helpful as possible, I invite all of you to submit your own structural analyses as well. To submit your own story structure analysis, all you have to do is go to the database homepage, look for the Click to Upload a Story Structure button, and fill out the form with all 9 important structural moments that I mentioned a minute ago, and hit Submit. Depending on how large the queue grows to be, it may take a while for your structure to show up, since I'll be monitoring and adding them by hand. I will, of course, maintain the right not to post any structure I feel is incorrect or inappropriate, and I will double check the structure of any books or movies that I'm personally familiar with. We want to create a database that is as accurate as possible, but certain aspects of structure, particularly in stories that aren't well structured, can be ambiguous. So don't take every analysis to be gospel. Challenge yourself to read the books and watch the movies so you can identify all the structural points for yourself. Use even structural analyses you disagree with to strengthen your understanding of how to write your own best stories. I believe the story structure database has the potential to be a tremendous tool for all of us. I'm already using it like crazy myself. So please join me in helping all of us expand our knowledge of story structure and our understanding of amazing tales. Thank you for listening to the Wordplay Podcast. To read a transcript of this episode, you can visit my website at helpingwritersbecomeauthors.com. And be sure to check back again next week.